It's here, finally, thought Celestia as she raised the sun to begin her favorite day of the year. She loved this day more than she loved Hearthwarming Eve. She loved it more than a summer sun celebration. She loved it more than her own birthday, where she could eat all the cake she wanted. It was April Fool's Day. Yes, today was the one day of the year where she could let her pranking side loose. A day to unwind yet be creative in ways she could make others laugh. And her first target was none other than her little sister. As Celestia walked down the hallway toward her sister's room, she began to remember all the memorable pranks she had played on her. When she was 9, Celestia had used a spell to glue all of Luna's furniture to the ceiling. A few years after that, she had put main dye in Luna's shampoo. Then there was a time she laced Luna's desserts with a singing potion. Oh, there were so many wonderful memories. Then came the rise of Nightmare Moon, followed quickly by her banishment thanks to the elements of harmony. For 1,000 years, Celestia longed to see her sister once more, waiting patiently for her return so that they could go back to the way things used to be. When she returned last year, the Princess of the Sun decided not to prank Luna while she was adjusting to modern-day life. But now that she had, Celestia was ready to spend the whole day with some good old-fashioned fun. After walking for several minutes, she found herself in front of Luna's room. The wooden doors were painted midnight blue, with the image of the Moon Princess painted in the middle. Right above the door was the image of the full moon. Taking a deep breath, Celestia gently knocked on the door. For a moment, the Sun Princess paused as she waited for her sister's reply. Hearing nothing, a small smile appeared on her face. Either Luna was sound asleep already from doing her nightly duties, or she was late getting back from doing her nightly rounds. Whatever the case was, it meant that Celestia could enter without fear so she could set up her pranks. Slowly, Celestia opened the large doors with her magic, revealing only darkness. Taking a deep breath, Celestia slowly took a step forward. As she did, the tip of her horn began to give off a golden glow so she could find her way around her sister's room. Looking around, Celestia couldn't help but feel a little guilty. While the room was large, it was nowhere near as large or impressive as her own. Unlike hers, this room didn't have any grand chandelier, but instead, simple light fixtures. There was no fireplace like the one Celestia had, only a small black wood burning stove. The door to the master bathroom was open, showing her that even it was equally less grand. Despite this, Celestia saw the rest of the room was nice. The wallpaper, what she could see of it anyways, had been enchanted to appear like the night sky with clouds moving around. The carpet was midnight blue, which went well with Luna's coat. On one corner of the room was something of a shrine dedicated to the numerous trophies that Luna had acquired. Ever since Nightmare Night, Luna had been having a great deal of fun playing all of the modern-day games that were now available. Whenever she heard that there was a town holding a festival or fair, Luna would be sure to go and compete with everyone she could. Personally, Celestia had mixed feelings about this. It was good to see her sister getting out there more often and getting to know ponies, other than the ones in Ponyville. And this was a good way for her to connect with those ponies, so they wouldn't see her as the monster Nightmare Moon. But, on the other hoof, in a way, she felt it was a bit unfair, since Luna was stronger and faster than the normal ponies. These awards should go to the normal ponies who lived in those towns. Turning her head, Celestia saw that Luna's new obsession with games might be getting out of hoof. On one wall was shelves full of boxes of every game in Equestria. There were also boxes containing card decks for games like Hocus Pocus, the Get-Together, that Luna had personally made. But that wasn't the end of it. There was also a full-size version of both the spider toss and the pumpkin catapult. In the middle of the room was the last of Luna's party games. It was a simple wooden barrel that had apples floating in water. Looking at it, Celestia couldn't help but imagine Luna waking up to start her night, walking over to it while being half asleep, and then dunking her head into the water to wake herself up, while at the same time getting a little breakfast in. Finally, Celestia turned her attention to the bed, which had a small nightstand next to it. On the nightstand was a bowl holding a few pieces of modern candy, as well as an alarm clock. Meanwhile, on the bed was Luna's pet opossum, Tiberius, who seemed to be stirred from its slumber. The small creature opened an eye as Celestia walked towards it, and yawned, revealing its sharp teeth before closing its eye once more. That's odd, thought Celestia as she moved over to the bed. Usually Tiberius stays with Luna. Maybe Luna left him here so she could head down to the kitchen for a quick bite to eat. The cooks made quite the racket when she bought him last time. Deciding to move quickly, Celestia used her magic to summon 3 items from her room onto Luna's floor. Smiling, Celestia looked down at a small bag full of red candy orbs, a small black container, and a bottle of Luna's favorite shampoo. Each one looked harmless, but promised to bring the Sun Princess many laughs. Getting to work, Celestia magically picked up the bag of red candy and let out a small giggle. While they looked like ordinary candy, they were really super hot and spicy, specially made by Pinkie Pie just for this day. When she had asked the crazy pink mirror to make these for her, she had her Pinkie promise not to tell any pony about them. Quickly opening the bag, Celestia dumped the prank candy into Luna's candy bowl. With that done, Celestia used her magic to pick up the container and open it. She then slowly moved it over Luna's pillows, turned it on its side, and began to give it a few shakes. As she did this, a white powder began to fall out of it as it began blending into the pillow. The powder came from one of the biggest joke shops in all of Equestria. It was an undetectable itching powder. Once Luna put her head against her pillow, she'll be scratching it all day. With that done, Celestia moved to her next target, Luna's bathroom. Once more, using her magic, she replaced Luna's shampoo with the one she had recently summoned. Inside this bottle was a dye that would turn Luna's coat bright pink. Oh, she couldn't wait to see Luna's reaction. With everything done, Celestia began to quickly pick up anything she had brought with her and sent it back to her room. She then quickly began to make sure that there was no signs of her being here. She didn't want all of her hard work to be for nothing. Once she was satisfied, Celestia giggled as she left to go find her sister. However, as soon as she closed her door, the shadows inside the room began to ripple like water that just had a small stone dropped into it. As this happened, Tiberius got off the bed to move towards the ripple. Then came Luna, as she walked out of the shadows. She looked at her bed for a moment before looking at her bathroom door. The Princess of the Moon let out a sigh. I really grow tired of these jokes, she said as Tiberius jumped onto her back. She looked at her pet with a tired expression. I like a good joke every once in a while, but sometimes Celestia's jokes go a little too far. Tiberius looked at his master and patted her on the head to show that it understood. While looking into her eyes, Tiberius could see just how tired she was. It wasn't the kind of tired one gets when they want to go to sleep, but the kind of tired one gets when they have put up with something for a long time. Luna let out another sigh. Ever since she was little, she had to put up with Celestia's jokes. At first, it wasn't so bad. In fact, she used to laugh along with her sister. Heck, she used to wield the element of laughter. But as she got older and spent more and more of her time sleeping through the day, she found that Celestia's jokes weren't as funny as they used to be. Instead, they often caused her to lose sleep. In fact, she had come to dread this day so much that last year she had stayed awake for half the day while searching for Celestia's little surprises in her room. Just then, the door began to open slowly. Before Luna could hide in the shadows once again, the door opened to reveal Foxtrot, one of her Bat Pony guards. Luna noticed that he wasn't in his armor, and instead had one of his saddlebags which looked old and worn.
Forgive me, Princess.
Fox said as he bowed.
I thought you were asleep, and I wanted to check up on you before I departed the castle.
Rise, said Luna, and her guard complied. I am grateful for the gesture. Perhaps, before you leave, you might do a quick errand for me.
Of course, Princess,
said Fox. To his surprise, Luna used her magic to lift her pillows and place them in the middle of bed. Once that was done, her magic then pulled the corners of her bed sheets to tie them together, creating a large sack. Please, take this down to the laundry room, she said as she gently placed the bag on his back. Once that is done, please bring up some fresh pillows and a new blanket. Oh, and a new bottle of my shampoo if you don't mind.
It would be my pleasure, Princess,
said Fox as he bowed once again. As he did, a small book fell out of his saddlebag. This went unnoticed by the two as Fox exited the room. Once he was gone, Luna went to work de-pranking her room. The first thing she did was scoop up all the candy her sister had put in her bowl, and then deposited it into the trash. Once that was done, she headed to the bathroom to do the same to the bottle of shampoo Celestia had given her. It wasn't until she left the bathroom that she noticed the book. Thinking it might be one of hers, she walked over to it and picked it up. Taking one look at the cover, she knew instantly that it wasn't hers. The image depicted young fillies in questionable attire, in odd poses. Her eyes then moved up to look at the title, and then widened in shock. I can't believe this, Luna thought as she opened the book. When she got to the first page, she discovered that it was like one of those comics that she had heard about. Reading it was easy, but the situation seemed a little far-fetched. It also seemed like this book was targeted towards fillies. But overall, she found no harm in the story. That is, however, until she came to one part that caused her face to turn red as she dropped the book. She's only 15 and she's doing that? Screamed Luna internally as the door opened. It's wrong. Why does she need to do something like that in order to defeat a monster?
I got everything you...
began Foxtrot as he entered the room with a large bundle on his back. but stopped in his tracks when he saw the state Luna was in. Wondering what had caused his princess to react in such a fashion, he followed her gaze to discover his book. Now his face was turning red. "Fox," said Luna as she found her voice again. Her guard slowly moved his head to look at her. "I found this book in my room. Is it yours?"
Mine?
Repeated the guard. There was no internal debate in his mind. He couldn't let any pony, let alone his boss, find out that he read books that included that. So there was naturally only one thing he could do. Deny it.
No, it's, my daughter's.
Luna looked at him with a raised eyebrow as the red in her face began to fade. "I thought you didn't have any children," she said.
I mean, it's my niece's.
Fox said quickly. Judging by Luna's expression, she wasn't buying it.
Don't judge me!
He suddenly shouted without warning, before running out of the room while at the same time dropping the bundle on the ground. Luna sighed as she shook her head. As she used her magic to pick up the bundle and place it on the bed, she decided that when he got in for his shift, they would have a talk about the kind of things he read. Or, at the very least, to leave things like that at home. As she began to make her bed, she found herself thinking a bit more about what she had seen, causing her face to turn red once more. "Snap out of it, Luna," she said aloud to nobody in particular, as she put her pillows back in place. "It must be some pony's idea of a joke if they consider that entertainment." Luna's eyes widened a moment after she said that, as a wonderful idea appeared in her head. Celestia hummed happily as she entered the dining hall for breakfast. After setting up all of her pranks, she got to work trying to find her sister. She tried the kitchen, but everybody there claimed they hadn't seen her. She checked the gardens, the library, and even Discord's room, only to find nothing. Well, she did find Discord swimming around in a fishbowl while the fish decided to use said bowl to go fishing. The search for her sister could not last forever since she still had her royal duties to complete. She went to the oversized, overpriced telescope to see if there were any problems in Equestria, and found none. Then she checked in with all the royal guards who shared with her the cookies they got at a bake sale they attended. As she entered the dining hall while being flanked by two members of her guard, she was greeted by a strange sight. Sitting there on the large table was a black cat, with a yellow crescent moon-shaped mark on its forehead. The cat looked at her, jumped off the table, and then ran towards her. "Hurry, Celestia!" said the cat in a female-sounding voice. "The Negafuss is attacking! You must be brave and transform into Sailor Moon!" Celestia's, as well as her two guards, mouth opened. Did that cat just talk? She asked aloud. Instead of some pony answering her, the cat reached behind it and pulled out a golden scepter with a crescent moon at the top. The cat then flung it at Celestia, who caught it in her magic. "Now quickly," said the cat. "You must say Moon Prism Power." Celestia blinked. "I will do no such thing," stated the Princess of the Sun. "What won't you say?" asked the cat. "Moon Prism Power," said Celestia, just before her jaw dropped. Then, for some strange reason, he began to twirl around as a white Philly sailor suit with a blue miniskirt appeared on her. Red hoof polish was applied to all of her hoofs, but then, for some odd reason, was covered by red stockings on her forelegs and high heels on her back. To finish the insanity, a gold band appeared around her head just below her horn, just before the swirling ended, and she was forced into an insane pose. When it was over, Celestia's face had turned bright red. She looked at her guards, who were running away so that their leader couldn't see just what they thought of her transformation. She slowly turned to the cat, who had transformed into her sister. "Happy April Fools," said Luna, as she teleported away. Sadly, try as I might to find a pony version of this, I cannot. So you'll just have to settle with a human version of Celestia transformed into Sailor Moon. Oh, to any of you who may have seen the original 90s version of this, oh, you know exactly the transformation. Not like it's changed in any of the revamps of the show, but that is the first version that comes to mind at reading this. I hope all of you enjoyed this, every pony. Happy April Fool's Day indeed.
Support me on Patreon. Subscribe and make sure to ring that notification bell to know when I post new content. And please, feel free to join the Lotus Garden. Links in the description. Thanks for listening, and look forward to more. Good night, every pony.